Good morning all. Today I'm going to do a gadget review, or possibly more of a first look at this gadget. I haven't done a gadget review for quite a while, so I'm quite looking forward to it. So what we have here is a Charsoon Magical Core V1. We also have a Magical Cell Type A. There's a Magical Cell Type C. And a Magical Cell Type D. And this unit is a modular battery charger. There's also this power unit, which is quite large and also quite entertaining. We'll come back to that a bit later. So this little lot has been very kindly supplied by Banggood.com, and I will put links to all these items in the description below the video. And in the interests of full disclosure, these items have been supplied at no cost to me. And the links I provide to these items are tracking links. So that lets Banggood know how many people have gone through to these items on their website as a direct result of this video. So let's start by taking a look at the Charsoon Magical Core V1. What does that look like? It's got an LCD display. Right, let's take it out of its bag. So it's got covers over the two ends which slide off to reveal these connectors, and that's how you clip on the other modules, because this is a modular battery charger. There's a display here. I presume it's a LCD. It's actually a touch LCD. Yes, there's a DC input jack. Oh, there's also a micro USB by the look of it, so we'll power that up in a moment. Interesting. We might need to do a teardown at some point. So Magical Cell A looks like this. Quite plain by the look of it. I think you stick stickers on here to identify the modules. So this has a balanced charge port, and this is designed to charge lithium cells up to 6S, I believe. How many pins has that got? Yeah, that's got 7 pins, so it's up to 6S. Now, it doesn't look like there's any port for supplying high current through the main connectors of the lithium cell. I think it charges the cell just through the balance port. Magical Cell Type C is USB, quite clearly. So this has 4 USB ports. Output is 5 volts, 2 amps. Doesn't seem to have anything other than those front panel USB ports. So this is for charging phones and tablets and anything else which draws up to 2 amps from 5 volt USB. Magical Cell Type D is this. And this has a range of common connectors for single cell 1S, 2S, that's interesting. Well, single cell then, or double cell, 2S cells, with these connectors. This is a little mini JST, I think. This one is one that's kind of flat with wings on it. I think I've got a lithium cell with that. And that looks like the power JST connector. Now, you might have noticed that I don't have a Magical Cell Type B, and that's because the B is to charge DJI Phantom battery packs for the DJI Phantom quadcopter, and I don't have one of those, so I didn't ask for that unit. Also in the Magical Core V1 box are some labels. These are numbered, that's 15, and also the manual. I'm a little bit concerned about this rattle, so I've kind of pulled one of these ends off. That was glued. I can always glue that back, but I just want to see if that, whatever it is that's in there, oh, that's all coming apart, will fall out. I'll try and get that out. Right, well, it's come out, and it is a screw. I think it's a screw that goes into one of these pillars. Can we see that pillar? Yeah, you can just about see a pillar there, and the PCB is screwed down onto that pillar. There are no screws behind these feet by the look of it. Right, so this is the power unit. It's 12 volts at 10 amps, so it's quite a beefy affair. But it also is quite interesting because there are no certifications on there at all. And this stuff here is quite amusing. We have a softy Accord with EN60065, a TEFT specification. We have an efficiency and a Storagt. But the best one is Pipple and Noist. Now, Pipple and Noist is matte Pipple and Noist, and it's 120, well, probably millivolts, but it could be interpreted as 120 megavolts. Right, product introduction. Charsoon Magic Cube is a independent combination, can be spliced charge artifact. Products made from a mix of Demon Core and Rubik's Cube. Yeah, I think I'll just work this out for myself. Right, so despite the rather high Pipple and Noist figure, I think I'm just going to plug this in. Oh, crikey, that's loud. Okay, well, we got some volts and some amps. We got 12.4 volts input voltage. It's not terribly bright, is it? I wonder if there's a brightness control. Oh, that looks like a brightness control. Yeah, there is a brightness control. Awesome. Oh, that's on 100%. So that's as bright as it goes. Right, I've lowered the light level in the room so that we can see the display with a bit more clarity. And what we appear to be seeing here are 6 cells, the voltages on 6 cells. So I imagine that's connected with this magical cell type A, which I've labelled number 1. The 6 cells on this 7-pin connector here. We're getting a voltage and a current display. There's a time display. We've got a chemistry type, currently set to lithium iron phosphate. And we've got an accumulated charge of 0 milliamp hours. It appears to be in charge mode. This is saying that something is not connected. And we're on screen 1. Okay, let's actually connect this cell and see what happens. So that's gone through a range of colours and it's now on white. Right, I'm going to press this settings button, which takes me into this lot. And I want to change that because I want to charge this 3-cell LiPo. It's 1350 milliamp hours, so 5000 milliamp hours is wrong, and the charge current of 2 amps is a bit high. So let's try and change those. Instead of 5000 milliamp hours, yes, I'll scroll down to about 1300 milliamp hours, and I think I'll charge this at 1 amp. So let's take that down to 1 amp. Okay, now into the next screen. This gives the modes. I want to charge it. It's not a lithium iron phosphate, and it's not a lithium iron high voltage. It's a LiPo. And now we've got mode A or mode C. And from the manual, these are mode A according to the set of charging current, mode C according to the set number of C battery. So I'm not quite sure what that means, but I think I'll go with charging current mode A. We're in mode A, so it should charge now at 1 amp. So back to the home screen, let's plug in this battery. Now I'm plugging it in towards the negative end, and that's where my black lead is, so I'm going to bias it to the right. The manual does tell you to bias it to the right, and nothing happens, and that's because I haven't paired this cell with the core. So to pair the cell with the core, I need to go into settings, go to the next screen, and then the next screen, and this shows the pairing number. Now I've labeled this number 1, so let's pair it number 1. If you press down, it says that there's something wrong. Now this is where it differs slightly from the manual, and in fact the manual shows this with firmware v1.02, and I've got v1.05, and they are different because in these instructions there's no down arrow, and this has a down arrow, and in fact if you press it, nothing happens at the moment, but if I pair this with number 1, I get a tick. This now changes colour. That's red, so I presume it's charging the battery. If you press down, it actually talks to this cell and pulls out some information. Type is A, version is 1.02, and then there's a code number there, which is probably some sort of identifying code in this cell. Right, let's go back. and see what this is actually doing. And it's charging my battery. Now in the manual we've also got a menu for the color of this LED light, and white was when it was not recognized, so that's before I'd paired it. Red means it's charging there. Blue, it'll be when it's a full charge. Green means there's no battery, and yellow means not connect battery. Oh, green means battery in, but it's not charging right at the moment. Yellow, not connect battery. So let's take the battery out and see what we get. And yes, we get yellow because the battery is not connected. So let's plug that back in, taking care to bias it to the right, make sure it's in the proper position. That starts charging. We've got individual cell voltages here. It's telling me it's a 3S LiPo. I didn't set that anywhere. The current is 1 amp. That's the total pack voltage. And we've got a cumulative milliamp hours charge indication and a clock. Now, while this is charging, can I set this to the other mode, which is the storage charge mode? It doesn't appear I can... Oh, yeah, so it's currently charging. Can I change that to storage? No, I can't. I'll probably have to pull the pack out. Now let's see if I can change it. Yes, I can. So now it's doing a storage charge. Let's go back. Plug the battery pack in again. And now it's doing a storage charge. Now is it actually charging or discharging at the moment? 3.91 across the board, 11.73. That dropped to 11.72, and you can see that these indicators are going downwards. So I think it's actually discharging now, 3.90 here, in order to put this pack into its storage condition where all the cells are kind of at a mid voltage. Now notice that when we're doing a storage charge, we don't actually get a current indication. We just get this battery symbol, so we don't really know what the discharge current is. It's probably not going to be that high because, of course, when it's discharging this cell, that energy has to go somewhere, so it's probably going into resistive or MOSFET elements in here. This will probably start to warm up when it's discharging. But no, you only see the current indication when it's charging. Now, there doesn't appear to be a stop charge or a start charge or any buttons like that. So to stop this, I think I just have to pull the connector out and that stops. Now I'm going to unplug this unit and plug in one of the other cell modules. Right, let's plug in the 4-port USB cell. So plug that in. It goes through a range of colors and then turns white because this cell hasn't yet been paired. Right, let's go through the pairing process for this module. Now this module has no number, or at least I can't put the sticker on there to write a number on it. So I'm going to call this number 1, probably overwriting the previous pairing, but I want to just try all combinations, so I'm quite happy to do that. Okay, so this is number 1. Let's OK that. Now that's gone green, so that must mean that it's happy with that pairing. Let's press the down arrow, and it tells me that this is a Type C cell. It's version 1.01, and there is some sort of identifying number. Right, let's back out of the settings menu. And now we have a different display here, which has 4 different voltage, current, and milliamp hour charge indicators, which presumably relate to these 4 ports. So let's go and get something to plug in and charge. So I'm going to charge my favorite power bank, which is this one. Now on the front of this module it says 5 volts 2 amps. I presume that's 5 volts 2 amps per socket. So let's plug this into there and plug that into number 1, and that appears to be charging, so we should see some current on here. That's creeping up. We've got a beep, not quite sure why we've got a beep. So that's charging at 1 amp, a little bit more now, 5 volts, and we're getting, it's creeping up even more. This thing's obviously drawing more and more current. And we're getting a cumulative milliamp hours charge indication there. Now this power supply supplied with this charger is 12 volts 10 amps, so that's quite a lot of power. So let's see if we can charge another power bank. I've got this one here. Let's put that into socket number 2 and see how much current that takes. That's taking 1.2 amps. So currently we've got a total of 2.7 amps being drawn at 5 volts from this charger. Good, okay, well that seems to work on the 4-port USB. That could be quite handy with 4 voltage and current indications. I'm interested to see that this 5 volts hasn't dropped at all. Maybe it is solidly 5 volts. It's rather interesting to see that display on there at all, really. I wonder if it's actually measuring the actual voltage or just showing a dummy 5 volt figure. Who knows? Anyway, let's take these out. So this was module 1. I'm now going to add in the little 1-cell, 2-cell charger, but I'm going to slip it in the middle of these 2 units and call this module 2. Let's take that one off and put this one on. How does it go on? It goes on like that. So let's... Okay. Now I've previously paired this on number 4, I think to wipe out numbers 1 and 2 so that I could do these other ones. So I'm going to repair this on number 2. So let's go into the pairing screen. Number 2, OK. And let's go down, make sure it can see it. So yes, it's seeing this as a type D. Let's actually plug on this unit and see if it can see that one as well. So this one is yellow, this one is green. So let's go to number 1 and press down. And it can see a type C module, which is this. And if I go to number 2 and press down, it can see a type D module. Actually, I might as well add in this one. Now I'm going to renumber this one module 3, and I'm going to put it on this side on the basis that this would be module 1 and 2, and then you could have modules 3, 4, 5, any number of these multi-cell chargers, but with different numbers so that you can identify them on the screen of this unit. But let's, yeah, I'll just change that label now. Right, the instructions say that you have to only have one module connected when you pair, so let's take that at its word. Connect this module. Now that's showing white. I previously did pair this as number 1, but I've overwritten that, of course, with the USB module. So let's pair this as module 3. Say OK to that. That's gone yellow. And let's just make sure we can pull the information off this unit. So this is a type A. I've numbered it number 3. Everything's OK. Let's connect these 2 modules back on again. And I think that's everything paired. And none of the units are showing white, so they are all paired. Good. Let's go back. And now we can switch between these 3 modules by pressing this little icon at the side here. So there's the USB with its 4-port indication. There's the 6 channel, and you get a little brief flicker where it shows you which one it's looking at. And at the moment, it doesn't seem to be able to show this. Perhaps it will if I plug in a LiPo. Let's do that. And yes, it's scrolled over to this unit when I've plugged something in. And now I presume I can switch between number 1, number 2, which is that, and number 3, which is this unit. Let's disconnect that and take a look at what this one does. So this unit with the 6 sockets, which I've currently numbered number 2, is designed to charge a range of these single cell, or it would appear from this front panel sticker, double cell LiPos. So I've got this one, but this one has a connector which doesn't actually match any of these, so I can't charge that. This one I think came out of the Hubsan, and it's got a connector with these sort of wings. Now that does fit, so let's put that in socket number 5 and see what we get. Is it going to charge it? Yes, so that's gone red, it's charging it. It's moved to the screen for module number 2, which is what this is. And in socket 5, we can see that we've got 4.2 volts, so this is pretty well charged anyway. 0.1 amps, but it is working, and the red indicates that it is charging, so that hasn't yet fully charged. Now I do have another cell here. It's a little 150 milliamp hour cell, and it's got a connector that would appear to fit in this third type of socket, but it doesn't actually do anything, so I suspect there may be a problem with that. It looks like this one has actually now fully charged, because this is saying over for socket 5, but nothing's come up for socket 6, so I think there must be a problem with this particular cell. But that's what this module is intended to do. Now, with nothing connected to any of the modules, we do seem to be able to switch between the displays for this module number 1 and module number 2, but strangely it won't switch to this one if nothing's connected to it, which is a little bit odd. I can probably fix that by connecting my LiPo to the balance charge port on this cell number 3. So that's scrolled over to there. And now hopefully I can switch between the USB module, the 6 1 and 2S cell module, and the balance charge module. Now, as well as pressing this icon on the right here, you can scroll this screen, but it's difficult to do. You have to drag it and kind of flick it. You can do it, but it's not entirely easy. Let's go from that to the USB, scroll to the 6 cell module, and scroll to the balance charge module. But it's a lot easier just pressing this icon on the right to switch between these different modules. So it's currently doing a storage charge on my LiPo here. Let's see what happens if I also plug in my power bank into the USB charge module. Will this screen scroll across to it? Yes, it has. Will this turn red for charging? No, it hasn't, but it is showing that it's charging on the display. I can't remember whether that did turn red for charging. So 1.5, 1.6 amps going into here, and the LiPo also charging at the same time. Should be able to switch to that. And yes, there it is, doing a storage charge. And of course I should be able to plug in my Hubsan LiPo as well. And that's turned red. Will the display change to this unit? Doesn't seem to have done it yet. I probably can manually do it. That's the USB, and that's the 6-channel charging module. Now, I was doing a storage charge on my LiPo, this one here, but I wanted to change that to a regular charge, but that doesn't seem to want to change. I'm pressing the store button, but it's stuck on store. So how can I get around that? Can I change the cell type? No, that won't change. That won't change. What if I go back and switch between the modules? I can't switch to that one because it's not charging anything. Let's go back into there, and I still don't seem to be able to change that. So it seems to have got a bit stuck. So do I have to disconnect this and plug it in again? Is the firmware in here just ever so slightly buggy? Let's try it again. No, I didn't want to go into that. I want to change that to charge. No, I still can't change that to charge, and I don't quite know why. Okay, so in desperation, let's disconnect these two modules and now see if it'll change to charge mode. Still can't do it. Let's go back. Maybe I need to disconnect this for longer. Those units are not there anymore, so... okay, that's changed to not connected now. So now can I change it to storage charge? Or from storage charge to regular charge? Yes, I can. Maybe a little bit buggy firmware here. Now, just one other thing I've noticed. This connector here, this Power JST, I believe it's called, this is a 3-cell pack. And this unit here has these Power JSTs, these red connectors. But you wouldn't want to connect that into there because this is only suitable for charging 1S or 2S packs. So you do need to be a little bit careful what you connect to what. You do need to know a little bit about what you're doing. I found another little single cell LiPo here. Now it's a 150 milliamp hour. It's out of a tiny little hexacopter. That's charging at 0.4 amps, which seems rather a lot for a 150 milliamp hour cell. I don't know whether that's genuinely getting on for half an amp. That's hit 4.2 volts. I would expect to see that 0.4 coming down soon. I know there's a fan in this unit, and I'm trying to plug in as many things as I can to get that fan to come on. I'm also going to try and charge this Avantec power bank, because I know this takes a very high current. It's about half charged at the moment. Let's switch that over to the USB module and plug this in and see how much current it does in fact draw. And that's up to 1.6 amps. I don't know whether this unit limits the current to 2 amps. I know when this thing is completely empty it can draw about 2.4 amps. So now let's see if this thing warms up and the fan comes on. No fan yet, so I've got the LiPo charging at 1.1 amps. I've got 1.6 amps coming out of each of the 2 USBs that I'm using, and I've got a small 100 milliamps now going into this little single cell LiPo. And the fan has just come on now that I'm loading this thing up, and you can hear that it's quite a noisy fan. Probably quite effective though, because it does sound like it's shifting a fair bit of air. It does sound like it's a fairly small fan unit, but it would have to be when it's sitting in that fairly small box. But yes, the fan has come on and this module is being cooled down. Now I don't think it can transfer airflow to the other modules, so it's just cooling the core unit here. And there we go, the fan has just switched itself back off. So, to sum up, would this be my go-to charger? Well, for multi-cell packs, I don't think it would if you're a serious radio control enthusiast, because this only charges through the balance port. You can't charge through the main terminals. It could be quite handy if you brought some packs into the house, for example, and you wanted to just shift them to their storage charge level. You could just leave them plugged into this thing. Would I use this as a USB charger? Well, there are so many ways to charge USB devices. You may not immediately think of this device, but it is quite handy that it's got voltage, current and charge indicators for all 4 sockets. So it could be quite handy if you're charging lots of things and you want all that information. And also if you're just a home radio control person who's got lots of these little single cells, it is quite handy for that. Now what does it do over and above the little cheap USB wire chargers that you get with these things? Well, it tells you the voltage, so you've got an indication of how far through the, no, I wanted that one, of how far through the charge cycle you've actually gone, which the little wire USB chargers that come with these quadcopter cells doesn't actually tell you. So that also could be quite handy. So that was a first look at the Charsoon Magic Charger with a magical core and these attachable magical cells. This also known sometimes as a demon core, and these are Rubik's cubes. It is a versatile charger, and it does charge lots of things at the same time, so it could be quite handy. The pairing process once done means you don't have to pair again. So although you have to go through that pairing process, it's relatively simple, but once it's done, it's nice and simple to use. The firmware does seem like it might be a bit buggy in places, and you might actually have to detach modules occasionally if it gets a bit stuck. So in summary, yes, I quite like this thing. It charges lots of different battery types. It gives you lots of information in addition to all the information it gives you on the USB. So I think this could be quite handy. Cheerio.